Welcome to another session on Java made simple, clear and short. In this session, we are going to discuss how to build and run Java applications in command line environment. When it comes to real world software development, we have to work with multitude of classes, sometimes even hundreds or thousands of classes. When things are getting bigger and complex, we want to manage it with applying some best practices. Otherwise, we are going to be in trouble tackling that complexity. As you are already aware, there are two main approaches or ways of coding or software development. The first approach is use of a command line together with some simple text editor like Notepad or Notepad++. The second approach is use of an integrated development environment like IntelliJ or Eclipse. Both these approaches have its pros and cons, but if you are really new to Java programming or in general programming, it's always recommended that you use the command line approach because when you do things in very primitive way, it increases your understanding because you know exactly what is happening, and it will increase your confidence as well. But you don't want to do that forever, because when it comes to real world software development, we want to do things much faster with ease. Therefore, if you are using integrated development environment, it is going to increase your productivity because the IDE is going to help you providing some code suggestions, detecting your compile errors early and stuff like that. And of course, one of the very important feature of integrated development is or support is it can compile your code without much effort, right? So that is a very useful feature when it comes to IDE. But when it comes to very complex applications, your IDE is not going to compile your classes anymore because of some complicated dependencies and intricacies. Sometimes your IDE can't figure it out what to do next. In that case, we have another solution. So that is called use of build scripts, right? So build scripts is a script that we have to write and we have to specify from where to pick the source file, where to keep the classes, from where to pick the classes to build your executable and things like that, and of course how to from where you have to get the libraries to be included in the runtime application, etc. So when things are getting really complex and complicated, these build scripts are going to solve the issue, right? So but only thing is you have to write that build script, right? So there are different technologies to write build script for Java applications. The two of the most popular technologies are Apache Ant and Apache Maven. When the things are somewhat simple, we can go for Apache Ant, but when the things are really complicated with lot of complicated or complex dependencies, usually we go for Apache Maven because it's very good at resolving runtime dependencies. Okay. Once you have the build script ready, either you can run it in the command line or you can again integrate it with your IDE and run the build script from IDE as well, right? So therefore, that ability to write the build script is very important competency that every Java developer or software engineer like to have. Now remember, it's not only just you have to learn your Java language, object oriented concepts, etc. Yes, those things are important, but while you are acquiring these skills, you have to acquire some other auxiliary skills like building an application, things like that also. So that is what we are going to do in this particular session, right? How to compile, build applications when you have hundreds and thousands of classes, and how to keep those code in a very neat way, right? So that is what this session is all about. Right, so now we are going to discuss some best practices when it comes to real world Java development. So the first best practice is separate your source code and compile classes. Of course, when you have just one or two classes, when you use the javac command, it will compile that Java file into the class file in the same folder. That is okay when you have just one or two classes, but when you have hundreds and hundreds of classes, that is not going to work because it's going to clutter and make things really messy. So what we want to do is we want to have our source code in one particular folder hierarchy, and the compile classes we want to keep it in a different folder hierarchy. So it will separate the source code from the class files. So that is best practice. So the next best practice is have proper hierarchy of package structures. So still we have not discussed the concept of packages in this particular series. Therefore, I am not going to dig into that. But just for your information, when you have a proper package hierarchy, one thing is it gives us a proper folder structure to keep different functionalities in different folders. And not only that, it provides us the basis for restricting the or the visibility of the classes to other packages. So that is something related to visibility and security. So all those advantages we get when we use the concept called packages. The third best practice is use of the build script like Ant or Maven. So as I explained previously, when the things are really complex with a lot of dependencies, etc., it is the best practice is write a separate build script and use that build script to build your application. So out of these three concepts, we are not going to discuss or practice the last two things, that is use of packages and use of build script. What we are going to practice is just the introduction into how to separate your code and the compile classes, and in that situation how to compile, build, and of course how to create a executable file in Java. Right, so this is what we are going to do as a practical session now. We are going to see how to separate the source code and the compile classes, how to compile Java files when your command prompt and the Java file is in the same folder, when your Java files are in different folder, then how to run your Java classes if the class is in your same folder or when the class is in a different folder. Then we are going to discuss how to create a Java file. So basically Java file is the executable file format we used in Java applications, just like exe files in some other languages. Then of course how to run that Java file that we just created, right? So that is what we are going to do in this particular practical session. Okay, so let's put things into practice now. So I'm going to create a folder called code. That is where I'm going to keep my source code. So we don't want to create very complicated classes. We just want to explain the how to compile and build. So I will create some minimal sort of a about three classes. So I'm going to create a class called customer.java. So let's create a very simple class. Say public class customer. So let's set just one attribute, string name. We'll add a construct also, customer. So let's add a system out println just to see where the constructor is getting called. System.out.println. Let's say customer is created. Right, so let's add a behavior also. Say public void, let's say shopping. I'm just going to copy this system of println, and I'll say customer is something like shopping. Right, so that's it. I'm not going to get very sophisticated functionalities, just we want to see whether these things are getting run. That is why we are adding some system out printlns. Now let's create an application for this particular customer. Let's say new, let's say app.java. So we are just going to create instance of a customer and maybe just call the shopping method. Say public class app. Let's have main method public static void main string args. So let's create a instance of customer there. Customer, let's say c1 equal new customer, and let's just call a behavior. Let's say c1 dot shopping. Right, so that's it. Very simple class. To make things a little bit more interesting, I'm going to create another class. Right, so I want to demonstrate few points there. That is why I'm going to create this class. Let's call it foo. Right, so let's create a class public class foo. I'm just keeping it like this. I just want to see whether we can compile that. That's it. Therefore, I'm not going to add anything. Right, now I have three classes. Now let's see how to compile these three classes. Right, so I'm going to take a command prompt cmd. Now I am in my user home in C. My code is in the D drive folder called code. So I'm going to move into the D drive, then cd into the code folder. That is where my code is there. Now if I want to just compile a Java file, what I have to do? Javac and the file name. So let's compile something like the customer. Of course, the file name is not case sensitive in javac command, customer.java. So if there are no errors, it has to give me, okay, there's a small error. Okay, so the v is missing, so I'm going to just fix that. Public, hopefully there are no other errors. Right, save. Now let's see. Okay, okay, still I basically miss it. Public. Right, now it should work. Right, so if you want to compile a file, you can just use your javac command and the file name, and of course the class file is going to be created in the same folder as your current folder. Right, now let's compile the foo class as well. Okay, now I am going to compile the app class. Now what you have to look at it is, right, now you can see in the app class it is referring to the customer class as well. Right, so the app class is referring to the customer class as well. Now I just deleted the customer class. Now if you compile javac app.java, what happens is, because app.java is referring to the customer.java or customer class, first it will see whether it can find the java files containing the customer.java or customer class. So in this case, yes, in the same folder you can find that file which is the customer.java. Therefore it's going to first compile the customer.java. Though you are compiling app.java, first it is going to customer.java, because the app.java is referring to the customer class. Right, you can see the customer app.java is referring to the customer class. Therefore it's going to first compile the customer, then it is going to compile the app. Now let's see. Now look at here. Now you can see both customer class and app class is created by your app.java is referring to customer instance. Therefore, since I have not compiled the customer class, first it compiled the customer class, so which is happening automatically. Okay, right, now you know that when a class is dependent on some other classes, and if you want to compile this particular class, it is going to first compile the dependent classes. Okay, right, now let's see if I want to compile more than one classes. Again, I'm going to delete these class files. right? For example, assume that I want to compile the customer class and foo class. Of course, those two classes are independent classes. What I can do is I can say javac customer.java space foo.java. So that is how you compile multiple classes. And if you have another class space that Java file, right? Like that is how you do that. Then it is going to first compile the customer.java and the foo.java. Now let's see. Right now you can see. Now of course the app.java is not compiled because I specified only these two. That is how you compile multiple classes. And now I'm going to delete those two classes again. Now if you want to compile all the Java files in a particular folder, so there is another requirement. In that case you can say javac star.java, right? Star.java, that means compiles all the files in that folder, in the current folder, right? In the current folder. Now in this case I have three classes, I am going to get all three classes compiled. Now you can see foo.class, customer.class, app.class. I just use the javac star.java, right? Okay, now let's see. So as we discussed, now our source code and class files are in the same folder, which is not very good thing. So what we have to do is we want to separate this. So usually the source code is kept in a subfolder called src. That is just a convention, but most of the Java developers like to keep it in the src. Now I am going to move these classes to the src. Now I am not going to compile and have your classes here in the src. For that usually we create another folder, and most of the time the Java developers give this name bin for binary because class file is more close to the binary. So now we are going to have the source code here in src. We are going to have the binaries in the bin or the bin folder. Now let's see how to compile. Now you know that if I just compile like this, the resulting classes are going to be here, but I want the resulting classes going to the bin folder. Now let's see how to do that. Javac, assume that I want to compile all the Java files .java, but before that you have to say -d stand for destination. Now you have to specify where is your destination. Now remember I am in the D code. Actually I have to do one more thing before that, because now my code is in the src folder. The first thing I want to do is cd into src. Now remember our source codes are now in the src folder. And now let's do the compilation. Remember my objective is compile all these files and get the Java classes saved into the bin folder, right? Bin folder. Now let's see how to do that. We have to use the same command javac, but since my classes are in a different folder, right? I want to have those classes in a different folder. I have to say -d stand for destination and where the file must go. So in my case I want to put it into, remember I am in the src folder. I want to go one level up, that means I am in the code folder, then go to the bin subfolder, and bin subfolder, because src and bin subfolders are parallel folders, right? Then of course you have to specify which classes you want to compile. I am going to say compile all the files, all the Java files. So you know how to do that. That is star.java. So what does this command means? Compile all the Java files in the current folder, and the resulting classes must be put it into bin folder, parallel the bin folder which is parallel to the src folder. Okay, right now I have just opened the bin folder. Now if this is successful, you are going to have the classes here, right? Now let's see, -d stand for destination. Now let's see. Now you can see all the classes are compiled to the bin folder, not in the src folder. So that is how you separate out your source code and class code or the object code. Now our classes are in the bin folder, our source code is in the src folder. Okay, right. Now let's see how to run a Java program. right? Java class. For that, first I am going to do is I am again going to compile these three classes into this folder itself, right? You know how to do that, javac without the minus d, right? So this is going to compile all my classes in this current folder, and the classes are going to be in the same folder, right? Javac. Okay, so we don't need the minus d, right? So it's going to compile all the classes in the current folder. You can see all the classes are compiled to class files. Now if I want to run it, say, of course I can't run the customer java, customer class or foo class, because those classes do not have the main method, but certainly the app class has. Now how to run it? You can say java and the class name, case sensitive class name. In my case, that is app. Now you can see that because we are creating a custom instance and calling the shopping behavior, there are some system outs or the outputs in my command prompt. That is how you run an application or Java class which is in the current folder. Now I'm going to again delete these class files, but remember we have the class file already built into the bin folder, right? But the thing is, I am in the src folder in my command prompt. Now let's see how to run those things in the bin folder. You can say java, right? Java, then usually we just have to say the class name, but before that we have to say that you have to pick those classes from the bin folder, right? So how to do that is, you can say minus class path, right? So we want to go up one point, that is in the code folder. Then we have to say bin folder. So that means, so what is the meaning of this class path attribute? So we are specifying where to find these classes. Of course, if the Java runtime environment can find the class, it can run it, right? So that is what that is the purpose of class path. It specify from where you have to look for the classes. Okay. Okay. Now let's see. Now we have the class path. Now you have to say which class you want to run also. In my case, I want to run the app class. Right. So now Java means run it. Take your class files from this particular folder, that is what the class path variable is all about. Then we are saying to run the app class in that particular class path. Right, now let's run it. You can see the same output is there. Now remember, our src folder does not have any classes. All the classes are in the bin folder. Now we are running that app class in the bin folder, right? So that is how you compile and run your Java code. Okay, now let's do a little bit more thing, right? Assume that now you know how to run compile a set of files and put it into a different folder, and now you know how to run those files though you are in a different folder, right? Different folder. Now we are going to do another thing, that is, if you are in a different place and if you want to compile a file or Java file which is in somewhere else, how to do that? To demonstrate that, what I am going to do is, in my D drive, now remember our code is in the code drive, I am going to get another folder temporarily. Let's call it something like other, right? Right, now I'm going to delete the, anyway there are no classes there, so I'm going to delete the classes in the bin folder. Right, now let's see how to compile. Now I'm moving to the cd dot dot, that is code cd again dot dot, and now I can go into the so what is the folder we created? Other, right? Other. So let's say cd other. Now you can see other folder is completely different place from the our code folder. Now let's see from here, if I want to compile, how to do that. So this is how you do that. You just type javac, then you have to specify uh, your file name with path, because if your file is in your other folder, that is fine because I am in the other folder. If not, you have to specify the path. Now remember, I am in the other folder. I am going to one level back, that is I am in the D drive. Now I want to go into code folder. In that code folder, I am going to the src folder. In that src folder, I am going to say, okay, I am going to say compile all the Java files there. So I can say star.java, right? Then of course, if you want to specify where to put the class files, otherwise those files are going to compile into the src folder. For that, I am going to say -d. Right now, remember I am in the other folder. I have to go into the D, right? Then go into the code, okay? Then go into the bin, okay? So that is where we want to have our the resulting classes, and these are the files you want to compile, okay? Now let's again go back. Now you can see our only the source code is there. In bin folder nothing is there. So once we execute this command, it is going to pick source code from the src folder and put the compile classes into the bin folder. Now let's see whether it's going to work. Now you can see classes are created in the bin folder. So that means we have successfully compiled some classes which are not in our other folder, completely different folder, and we have put the results back into the some completely different folder, right. Now we are moving to the final part, that is how to create a jar file, right. So as I mentioned in the early part of the session, jar file is something like a exe when it comes to Java. So your executable file is jar file. You can execute your jar files to run the application, Java application. Okay. Now let's see how to create a jar file. So when we work with jar files, usually it's always easy if you go into that particular folder and do the stuff rather than you work those things in a different place. Okay. So therefore, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cd and go into one level up. Then I want to go into the code level. Then I want to go into the bin folder, right. So that is I'm directly going to the bin folder, and that is where my classes are, right. So always go into that folder where you have the classes and do the build. Okay, so then you have less work to do. Right, now let's see how to create the jar file. So this is how you create it. You have a command called jar. Some parameters you have to take. Almost all the times you will be using -cvf. So those are the three the most popular attributes. I will explain what those attributes mean for, right. Then we have to say what is the file name of your jar file. In my case, let's call it MyApp.jar. Then you have to specify which files you want to include in your jar file. So for that I am going to say app.java I want to include. Then I want to include customer.java. Sorry, not the Java files. I want to include what? Class files, right? So class files. So that means app.class, then customer.class, and of course I want to include my foo.class also. If you want, you can just skip some of the classes, but I am going to include all these classes. Right, three classes I am going to include to the jar file called myapp. Okay, so here C means create, V means verbose. Verbose means whatever the stuff that the tool is going to do, it's going to be put it into the screen. Okay, the F means the file. Of course, the file name is myapp.jar. Okay, now let's see. Now let's look at the bin folder also. That is where your jar file is going to be created. Right now you can see, because it is verbose, it is telling me what kind of things it is doing. So you can see it is adding app.class, customer.class and foo.class to the jar file. Okay, now let's go. Now you can see that the myapp file has been created. So this is just a zip file, right, having your executable program. Okay, So what we can do is we can just extract it, because Java file is just a zip file. Let's extract it and see what are the things that is available there. So if you compile, if you unzip it, you can see that all those class files I have mentioned are there. Then there's another folder called meta.inf. Inside that you have file called manifest.inf. Now let's open that also. You can see nothing fancy, it just says which JDK version it has created this, what is the version of this manifest file, that's it, right? So it's a very simple manifest file, right? Configuration sort of file providing some information. Now, now we have created the jar file, but another thing is when you create a jar file, you want to execute things, right? So, but the issue is I have not specified to the jar file which class is my main class or entry class, right? So if I have mentioned that only, I can run it. Now anyway, for the sake of running, I will just run it and see what is the big issue is. So how to run a jar file? Very simple. You just have to say Java. Usually after that you just specify the class name, but now you have to say you are going to call it from a jar file, therefore minus jar. Then you have to specify the jar file. In my case it is MyApp.jar. But in this case I am going to get an error. Though I have those classes in the jar file, in MyApp.jar files I have not specified which class is my main class. Therefore this is not going to run. Okay, now let's double check. Now you can see that the error message is very straightforward. It says no main manifest attributes in MyApp.jar, right? Obviously there is no it does not mention anything about which class out of these three classes is the main class, right? Because therefore it refused to run the application because it has the ambiguity of finding the main class. Now how to get over this particular issue? What we have to do is we have to do something like this. When we create in the jar file, right? When we create the jar file here, so I'm going to recreate my jar file. So it's a very straightforward thing I'm going to do. I'm going to say something like this: Java minus jar, sorry, not minus jar, jar minus cvf. I'm going to introduce another attributes, right? cvfe. Now c stand for create, v stand for verbose, f stand for uh, of the file that we are going to specify. For example, in my case the file is myapp.jar. And now we have an additional attribute, that is the entry point. Entry point means which class we want to run when the jar file is run. In my case I want to specify it as of course you have to specify the files that you are going to jar. So what are the files we are going to jar? We are going to build or jar these files. What are those files? Of course the customer.class customer.class. So the next one is app.class, and the next one is what is the next one? foo.class. So now you can see we have specified all the three classes that want to be there, right? And now not only that, I am using this the attribute as well. So that is after f, that means this is the file. So after the file I am going to say what is the entry point is, and what is the entry point is. So this is how you specify the entry point. You just have to specify the main class name. In my case, of course, that is app.class. Now you have the command jar cvfe, create this jar files and make app as your entry point or the executable file. Then include these classes. Of course, the app class must also be there. Now let's run it. I'm going to delete these files again. anyway I'm going to keep these classes. I have deleted the jar file, so jar file is going to be recreated. Okay, now let's see. Now you can see the three classes has been added to the jar file and the MyApp.jar file has been created. Now let's unzip that again and see what's going to happen. Now again the three classes are there, but if you look at the meta.env folder at the mf file, you will see that now not only the manifest version and the created by version is there, it has another entry called main class. So it's basically tell the tool that when you run this jar file, make sure that you run this class. In this case, that is the app class. Okay. Now we have created the jar file with the main class. Now let's try to run the our jar files. Of course, I'm going to delete this unzip version. So I have these class. Now I have the jar files. Now I need only jar files. I don't need the class files as well. If you want, I can just delete these class files. Right. So when you are just running the jar, because this jar file has the class files, now I have the main class as well because I specified it under E. App is your main class for the entry class. Now let's run it. So how to run it? We have to say java minus jar, that means run it from a jar file. Then you have to say uh, what is your class name, right? What is your class name? Actually you don't have to say what is your class name, you just have to say what is your jar file name. So you can say minus, not minus, java minus jar and your jar file name. So what is my jar file name? MyApp.java. MyApp.java. Now you can see it is getting run because now we have the main class or the entry point specified in your jar files. We just run the jar files using the minus jar attribute or the flag and giving the jar file. Now it know that when I say run the MyApp jar, it has to run the main class that we have specified. In my case, that is the app class. Okay, so I hope you got it right. So we discussed some important aspects here, how to separate out your source code and the class files, then how to compile your code into that separate bin folder, then of course how to compile classes from some other different folders, finally how to create a jar file and run a jar file. Okay, I hope you got the basic ideas. In another session we will discuss some other interesting things about Java. Thank you.